Everybody, how's it going? Today we are checking out the Amp 1 Iridium Edition from Blu Guitar. Let's take a look. All right, so for those of you who have watched the show over the years, you know I'm good friends with Thomas Blug, the head guy behind Blu Guitar, and we already had this on the show during one of the episodes from 42 Gear Street, but today I actually had a chance to put it in the studio, put it in a full mix and try it out and see what it can really do. Just the short version of it, this is a 100-watt tube amp that weighs almost nothing. Let me repeat that. This is a 100-watt tube amp. Yes, it really is. It's a Class D power amp coupled with a little something they call the nano tube. It's of Russian origin. It does like the same thing a full-size power tube would do, except in very small format. And this thing really kicks out the volume. Like, this is really fucking cool. Now, the Amp 1 was originally developed to replace the Marshall Plexi that Thomas is such a huge fan of. And, you know, we had that on the show. We were dialing it in, trying to get some metal tones out of it, and it was okay. It wasn't spectacular for the whole metal thing, and Thomas knew that and said, hey, I'm gonna make a metal version of this thing. And so last year after NAMM, he came by the LA studio. I sat down with him, we checked out a few different amps. I showed him kind of like what I was looking for, and he took some notes and went on, and I'm sure he's consulted a bunch of other metal players as well, and they came up with this, the Iridium Edition. Now, like I said, first and foremost, I'm just blown away by how much volume this thing puts out and how little it weighs. The second thing is the tone. It really actually sounds pretty fucking awesome. So controls are really straightforward. You got volume, 2 gain controls for overdrive, bass, middle, treble, and reverb, and a master volume. And you've got a channel switch as well. Down the side, you've got various volume controls for the different channels, along with a tone control, just for some fine tuning, that kind of thing, to make sure your channels are the same volume from channel to channel as you keep kicking on the different modes of distortion. There's also a switch for a parallel and serial gate, and there's also a noise gate included, although I haven't been able to figure out how to get it working. Well, the one weird thing about this amp is you need a secondary foot switch to be able to get to the clean channel. That's available from the Amp 1 website. It uses a special MIDI to 1/4 inch connector. Never seen one of those before. I was able to get it to switch over to clean by using just a really cheap foot switch here, but I couldn't actually switch back and forth. I literally had to physically plug it in and then unplug it to get it to change channels. Hey, whatever works, you know what I mean? On the back channel, we've got power switch, MIDI remote, 2 different speaker outputs, the effects send and return, your guitar's input, and a record out. This will come with a impulse response loaded onto it, or you can turn that off and record directly out of it. Myself, I went into the torpedo reload right out of the speaker output because that's just kind of how I prefer to do things at the moment. Anyway, let's check out the various channels. Okay, yeah, clean hard rock. We all know, you know, it does that really well. It did the clean and hard rock really well with the Mercury Edition, which was the Plexi clone. Let's hear how it really sounds on a full metal mix. right, so there you go. This thing really did impress me. I think size to weight ratio, it's absolutely amazing. The amount of tone this thing puts out, the amount of volume it puts out, and just how little it weighs. This is basically like the weight of 2 or 3 pedals. And I gotta say, this is pretty phenomenal. For a metal amp in 2020, this is kind of what I think we should be going towards. Something that's small, lightweight, and packs a hell of a punch. The fact there's a 100-watt power amp in here is just absolutely amazing. This is the kind of thing you can throw in a gig bag and away you go. I know a lot of guys prefer to bring digital amps for exactly that sort of thing. This kind of really gets things down into a nice small package on the floor. You got your 3 foot switches here so you can go between your various channels, add on some extra stuff, and you're good to go. Now, Thomas was telling me that a lot of guys would bring a Marshall Plexi and then they bring their Mercury Edition to the gig as a backup, and then as they keep playing more and more gigs, they just wind up bringing the Mercury to the gigs instead of bringing along a Plexi. I could definitely see this happening, you know, instead of bringing your mega expensive tube amps like, you know, your Revs or your 5153s or what have you, you can bring something like this, so if it gets lost, stolen, or damaged, it's gonna hurt, but it's not gonna hurt nearly as much as, say, like losing a $3,000 tube amp. So if you're a serious gigging musician, this thing retails for $849, and I really think it delivers the goods. It doesn't weigh a crap ton. If you're looking to maybe stop hauling around a giant tube amp, this might be a serious alternative. Like I said, in terms of tone, I think it really delivers the goods. I absolutely love it on lead tone, especially how it turned out in that mix. It's just got that nice, thick, chunky sound. You know, you can really lean into it. I didn't even hook any pedals up to it. This was just strictly the sound of the amp. And I gotta say, I'm super impressed. Now, we only did that demo on a 6-string guitar. If you're a 7-string or 8-string player, it's only gonna get that much heavier. So for $849, I definitely recommend checking it out. You can find it online at Sweetwater, Toman, all that stuff. I'm gonna have some links in the description below. And if you're gonna be at NAMM this year, make sure you drop by the AMP1 booth, because I'm sure it's going to be on display. It's definitely worth taking a look at. All right, thanks so much for watching this. I'd like to thank the gang at AMP1 for sending me this. I'd like to thank Chris Rafinski and Jackson Ward for playing on this demo, and of course, Thomas Blug for knocking down my door and basically saying, hey, let's make this better. I think that's totally awesome. All right, until next time, thanks so much for watching. Thanks for subscribing. Hit my newsletter so that way you'll actually get notified when my new videos are out. And until the next video, get out there and make some metal, you motherfuckers.